Speaking of federal politics, let's go straight to Canberra now. Joining me, Sky's political editor. Great to see him again, Andrew Clennell. Welcome. Another busy day. I just wanted to ask you about question time. I sat down and watched it like I normally do. The opposition concentrated on, as you would have seen, that issue of bulk billing. You know, the trick that Albanese had during the campaign. He pulled out his Medicare card, said the only card you need is your Medicare card, not your credit card, which obviously was effective. I mean, given, you know, they thumped the opposition in the election. But when's the opposition going to realise that they can't actually win an argument on Medicare? The population trusts Labor on Medicare and health.
Gee, you earned your money watching that question time, Steve. Look, I had the same feeling. I mean, I just thought this is ridiculous. And he wiped the floor with them, really. They didn't lay a glove on him. So I guess, you know, it seemed to be related to Mark Butler, who made some comments. Not absolutely everyone will get bulk billed, and they'd sort of promised that, you know, close to 100% of people will be bulk billed. So they're sort of putting the markers out there. But I thought it was something they could have dropped in third or fourth question, not run an attack line on the whole time, and I think it was pretty ineffectual. I guess a lot of the time, to be frank, they look at will it run on the 6 p.m. newses? If it does, they say they've had a successful day, but I'm not sure they will have even in this case, because the government's got the upper hand on the Medicare argument, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are not on the tactics committee, but I mean, someone ought to tell them that, you know, Labor will always win the argument when it comes to Medicare card. I mean, the only thing I can think of is they're trying to mount this case of broken promises. They're going to sort of try and link, you know, your power didn't go down.
They are.
And you were promised that you'd be able to go to the doctor. And will that work, maybe?
Yeah. Well, you know, all I know is when you have oppositions, you know they're in trouble when you feel like you need to help them out, Steve. I think I'll leave it at that.
I mentioned at the top of the program, page one of the Australian today, these wild claims from that UN bloke who's here meeting Chris Bowen, came out and said in a direct quote, fruit and veg will become an annual treat in Australia. Man, look, no one but Chris Bowen will actually believe this stuff. But the opposition, I thought, started to go down a pretty sensible road today. You know, the government, Andrew, says, well, we've got a mandate to carry out our promises in regard to climate. The opposition are now saying, and I thought Dan Tehan in particular is pretty good today, that, look, we've got a renewed mandate now because we've got a different leadership team to actually look at our attitude to net zero. Here's the question for Andrew Clennell, who's closer to this than anyone else. Are they going to be brave enough to drop it? Yeah,
they are, I think. But I don't know if it'll make any difference. Whoa. All the seats where people want it dropped, they already have. You know, they've got the regional seats. They need the urban seats. And some of the big changes in the sort of energy economy don't affect those in the urban seats too much. And how are they going to come up with a plan which will actually not just lower power bills, but have power bills not increase? Pretty hard to argue you can do it. So I think it's a subject best left alone a lot of the time, and particularly when this mob look like they're going to be in for a while, you're better off concentrating on the economy. And, you know, attack them on power bills, but don't go on about net zero as Barnaby Joyce and Michael McCormack are doing to get their moment in the sun, if you like. So look, I think they will dump the net zero policy. What does it mean? Not much. And I will note that even Chris Bowen criticised that official's comments. So there you go, Steve. Even he thought that was way over the top. And people who make those sort of comments don't do the argument much favour, do they? Because they go so extreme with it. People go, well, this is just a load of tosh. I mean, stop telling us how to run our lives. If you can run everything through renewables and keep our economy going, fair enough, but you can't yet. So, you know what? Just, you know, cut it out. That's what they think. It's going to be pretty interesting if Australia does win this Conference of the Parties conference, by the way, because that's going to be a real flashpoint in the debate. And Anthony Albanese will go to Brazil later this year to try to win it for Adelaide. What happens then in terms of the debate in Australia? That will be fascinating to see.
What's going to be bigger, COP or Live Golf? I mean, Chris, you know, our mate in Adelaide, Malinauskas, he'd love to have it because he loves an event. He's got the Gather Round, he's got Live Golf. Now he's going to have COP, what is it, 29 or 30 or 31?
Not even sure which one it is. 31 sounds about right. Yeah. Look, I think he's got every poster winner, but it's easy to look like a star in a state parliament, especially at the moment, I reckon.
Absolutely. Now, the President, Donald Trump, he took time out from cheating at golf today to tag that he's going to have a new tariff around the world. Here is a bit of the President.
But we're going to be setting a tariff for essentially the rest of the world, and that's what they're going to pay if they want to do business in the United States. I would say it'll be somewhere in the 15 to 20% range.
So where are we at with this meeting or no meeting with Trump, and where are we at on tariffs? I mean, I know you've been concentrating on beef today, but what does this mean for us?
Oh, I think we're, doomed whether he meets him or not, aren't we? I'm more worried about AUKUS, to be honest. I think pretty much every country cops the tariffs, and luckily for us, our trade with China is so much greater than our trade with America, so it doesn't hurt the economy that much. It's not great, but it's not as dire as, say, if China stopped buying iron ore, let's face it, or if India and China stopped sending international students. So I think we're just going to cop it, but I think the reason the dialogue has to happen is around AUKUS and defence, because I'm very, very concerned about the future of that project and what is Plan B. I mean, Allegra Spender asked that of Richard Marles today, and I think it was a fair question. And look, I might ask you, Steve. I mean, in all your time, and it's a longer time than me, I don't want to age you, being involved in journalism.
Yes, you do.
Have you ever seen a leader like Donald Trump, who I was watching him last night on TV, who you just don't know what he's going to say next? I mean, usually with these guys down here, they focus grouped it to death. So, he's going to say this and he's going to say that. He might say this or that. With Donald Trump, you're hanging on every word because you just don't know where it's going to go. Is that fair? Can you remember a politician or a senior leader like that before?
No.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson probably be the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. Trump and him are quite similar in that regard. But other than that, no. I mean, certainly not in Australia. US presidents, no. Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon. I mean, you didn't know what Nixon was up to, but, maybe Nixon. But no, Donald Trump's in a class of his own, I think. And you either love him or you hate him. No one really quite understands him. Andrew, always a pleasure to catch up. You're doing great work there in Canberra. Talk soon.
Thanks, Steve.